I feel very naked right now because I'm not listening. I'm the one usually listening and
the tides have turned.
recording. So
I should
you can
put my phone
tell
on silent before this very
exactly.
professional.
You can tell me off when I take the microphone too far away from my.
Get that back close to your mouth. We can't hear you. Well, we're back.
Yeah.
After a killer week.
A week's hiatus. Yeah.
I mean,
what a great episode last week.
What a great episode.
Thank you to those who gave us some really good feedback. I think this is actually a really good point to kind of talk about the podcast moving forward. Those who have listened to In Focus Out of Touch for a while now, it's generally just been Sean and I just yapping and yammering on about all sorts of nonsense. But we are definitely going to have more guests moving forward, and we've got some really, really exciting things lining up. So
we've got a few people lined up for the coming weeks. We don't know exactly when they're going to come, but we're going to have some faces appear on the podcast that you're going to get some knowledge from, hopefully.
Yeah, and you and I can learn from it. Try and become successful.
I know listening back to the Share Story one last week, there's stuff I just didn't pick up actually talking to.
Because you're just nodding along.
Yeah, in the conversation. But Andrew Barnes, great guy. If you haven't listened to it, go back right now and listen to Andrew Barnes from Share Story. Hope to get him back one day. Yeah,
very generous with his time and very generous to share his tips and knowledge. Shout out to you, Andrew, because I know you're listening, mate. Just keeping tabs on us.
Yes,
keeping tabs on us. Anyway, welcome. We're back to Sean and I for just this week.
We're back,
and we're back in my home. Yes. So
got some nice plants behind us.
Yeah.
We've
got some greenery. We've got some oxygen coming into the room, which is good because we can start. I thought it'd be good to talk a little bit about the little gift you have for me.
Yes.
What do you have in front of me?
Well, if you're watching the video portion of this podcast, you'll see what's in my hands right now. It's a Blackmagic Pocket 6K. And if you want to see Nick in the frame, you can see that.
That is a lot of Ks.
Yes.
That is a lot of Ks.
Yes.
So when did you get it? When did it get delivered?
It got delivered, I think, the day after we recorded last week.
Okay, cool. Oh, that's so cool.
I've had a couple sessions just mucking around with it, in the office, around the house. But, mate, it's still a very new camera to me. It's a little bit scary, I have to admit. Being on Sony for the past good part of 4 years with the rare dabbling in other cameras.
Yeah.
But I'm looking to make the Pocket Cinema camera my main driver.
Yeah.
And maybe even get a few of them for multi-camera setups. But mate, I'm gonna this podcast, I'm a complete noob to Blackmagic.
Yeah.
And I see you as the pro. So
you might say I'm a Blackmagic wizard.
Oh,
Mage level 5. I don't know if that's a thing.
But mate, let me be the audience. Not that our audience doesn't know anything, but
yes, let me bore you all right now, everybody, with some technical details.
But I thought it might be good spending this podcast just picking your brain about this new camera system that a lot of people are jumping over from, especially from Sony. Because they're not picking up the ball in terms of
I think I want to talk about it as well because I have the Pocket Cinema 4K, which I'll just if you're watching the video portion, it's on my rig at the minute, sans lens. If you did want to watch the video portion, come along to the In Focus Out of Touch YouTube channel, link in the show notes, and you can actually have a look at what we're talking about. But I've got the Pocket 4K. I've had it, for probably, I don't know, when did I get it? The start of the year, I think I got it.
Yeah.
I've been shooting on it for a while, but I to be honest, I was really interested to get my hands on the Pocket 6K, but I wanted to know from you first. You shot with Sony mirrorless cameras for a good number of years now, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about your investment in their system. Do you have E-mount glass? Do you have the majority E-mount? Do you have any EF glass?
Luckily, I've held on to. So my journey was Canon, Sony, and I've been with Sony ever since.
Yep.
But starting with Canon, I've retained probably 70% of my Canon glass, thankfully.
Okay, that's cool. So you've always
used, which is good, and I've continued to buy Canon glass because, as you know, adapting Canon to Sony works a treat.
Yeah,
because of
yeah.
sensor sizes and glass size. But
The flange.
the flange size. So I've kept a lot of my glass, which is really nice. You know,
That's handy, yeah.
I've got the 24 to 105, like
Yep.
stock standard, great all-rounder lens.
Yeah.
On Canon.
So tell me about your decision to move onto the Pocket Cinema camera 6K.
Yeah, so Sony's great. I still love those cameras. I still have them, and we'll be using them for months to come.
Yeah.
I don't see myself getting rid of them anytime too soon. But I think the last main camera I bought was when the A7S Mark II came out, and I've been shooting with that for over 3 years now. And I just needed one main camera that was going to give me a crisp picture, maybe in 4K, 50 frames. Just give me 4K slow-mo.
Yeah.
Just give it to me. And, it was just one of the limitations. I was just fed up with Sony a little bit because they're dragging their feet, not releasing anything more. And, it is a bit frustrating because you go through and invest in some Sony glass. I did purchase a few Sony lenses for autofocus and things like that.
Yep.
But this year I've actually been shooting, a few more bigger projects that require, a little bit more dynamic range, that are going to be a little bit more important and not just an Instagram or YouTube video. That could go somewhere. Not that TV is by any means like the end all be all or the biggest thing now. It could go on TV, it could go on a cinema ad. You could shoot a short film with it and be happy 100% with your picture because it does so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the things that it does for the price and it being an EF mount, that's sort of what sold it for me.
So why did you want to move on to just native EF if you've had experience with adapters before? They're not brand new to you. I'm interested to know, why would you want to go the 6K and not the 4K with something like I use a lot, which is a speed booster or focal reducer. Yep. Gets me into the EF. You're never going to have good autofocus on these cameras, so that's not really where a native mount can benefit you. And with the same 24 to 105 lens, that's my workhorse as well. Actually, for a lot of my video gigs, I actually get to use it as an f2.8 versus an f4. Now I know those purists out there will say, well, the sensor size is different, so it's not really an f2.8. It's an f2.8 on a whatever it is, like difference it is, but I still get an extra stop of light.
Yeah.
Versus yourself.
Yeah.
So tell me why you didn't think let's go the 4K.
A big part of it was the Super 35 sensor, which was pretty enticing, and that I could use a lot of that readout of the native EF lenses without adapting. And it's just, adapting is great, and yeah, you can get an extra stop with speed boosters, but every now and then you're shooting and you're looking at the picture and thinking to yourself, is this the best picture I can get out of this glass? And when you're putting something between your sensor and the glass, you're like, it could be a bit better. So I wanted to go back to a system that I didn't have to adapt, that I could just put lenses on and off. Sometimes on Sony, I've just had adapters just sort of stop working, or you have to reconnect the camera. You can't change the f-stop sometimes.
Or you accidentally go to change the lens and you naturally are like, oh yeah, I'll go to the camera body, and you're like, shit, that was the lens adapter. And I have my lens adapter is actually mounted into the cage, so it's a very firm fit. And I've got to say, occasionally I've gone straight to the body just from habit, just from years of shooting and changing lenses, like shoving your hand right against that camera body to change lens quickly. I think, no, wait, it's on a Metabones. I've got to just go to the adapter. So yeah, I totally agree with that. So, I think that's a fair point.
I really like working at the speed of thought, and if that's like swap lens in and out, I find just lagged sometimes going into the camera bag. Okay, going to quickly swap this lens. Oh no, oh crap, my speed boosters on the other camera. Okay, gonna swap this off, blah blah blah, and it's just some really frustrating fluffing around with speed boosters. Probably my bad for not getting enough speed boosters, but why get more than you need? Because they're bloody expensive.
Yeah, and I think now if you're down to one camera anyway, like then you'd only need one.
Exactly.
But you're right. I don't know what the difference is between. So I have a Metabone speed booster. I did start off with a Viltrox or like a cheaper focal reducer speed booster equivalent, but I just didn't like the image. It was too soft. I couldn't get infinity focus. I just didn't think the quality was there. I know some people like Viltrox or some of those other brands, but I bit the bullet, and I think you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
So the Metabones to me, I think, is just I get really good images from it. I don't know though what that is really doing to that. What could be the cleanest image ever?
True.
So I've never seen it without any adapter glass in front of the sensor.
Have you ever considered investing in micro four thirds glass at all?
No, I haven't. I two main reasons. Well, actually, yes, but not your traditional photo lenses. I've been looking at micro four thirds cine lenses and starting to invest in that system. But then Blackmagic came out with the EF version, and whilst I don't know if I am, I know we talked about it when it first was announced. We're like, oh yeah, I'll definitely get that. But the 4K is my workhorse. I shoot most of it in 4K to access Blackmagic RAW. That's something that I want to get into in just a second because there are some restrictions there with the 6K. But I'm the same. Like I've invested so much money in EF glass over the years. I don't want to invest in a completely new range of lenses if in the near future, and I mean like in the next 2 to 3 years, I'm moving on to some other bigger glass. So a lot of cinema glass these days, you can adapt to PL or EF. Mm-hmm. Like manufacturers are considering that. You look at the Canon cinema lens line, the CNEs, they're EF mount or PL mount. The Zeiss CP3s are EF mount, PL mount. So adapting your EF to your 4K, what does a Metabones speed booster cost these days? So I'm going from memory here, but I think I paid about 1,200 Australian for the Metabones Ultra, which is a 0.71 reducer or something.
Right, so that's potentially wider than the 6K?
I think it is by a little bit, or at least it's very close. But Metabones also make a larger focal reducer, which is 0.64, and that would actually get it to like a 1.2 or 1.3 crop. So wider, much wider. So if you're paying,
say, $1,500 for a 4K and $1,200 for a speed booster, you're almost at the level or the price at what a 6K costs.
What did you pay for your 6K?
$3,200.
You're close. You are close. It's a tough one. In the past, or certainly now even, I want convenience. It's crazy how my brain goes, spending an extra 10 seconds to change something over. My brain fights against that.
So this is how smart I think Blackmagic is. So they brought out this 4K camera. It's a micro four thirds sensor, and everyone had
4/3 sensor, micro four thirds mount.
Micro four thirds,
Sorry, not to be technical, but get it right.
Sorry. No, but they bring out this camera that everyone loves. They love the spec. The image looks great. But there's people like me that are just like, I'm not quite ready to make the jump. Then
I find that is really strange considering you've always adapted lenses onto your Sonys. Yeah. So I'm kind of wondering if I had put that 4K in your hands a couple of months ago, before they announced the 6K, would you have been like, oh shit, I'll give that a go?
Yeah, you probably could have got me. But
it's really interesting. I understand it. I understand.
I was sort of on the edge.
Yeah.
And then they bring out this EF.
Yeah.
6K.
They make it easy. Yeah.
It's just enough, and it was like cheap enough. I'm like, I'm already thinking about buying a new camera.
Yeah.
Easy decision.
Yeah. And look, there are some other advantages with the fact that you have a bigger sensor. generally speaking, you are going to get better performance in low light. Now, I haven't put these cameras side by side and tested that. I know a lot of people are starting to do that on YouTube now, which is great because I'd be interested to see, because the dual native ISO on the Pocket 4 or the Pocket cameras now, I think is just genius. You've got a great implementation of dynamic range, whether you're at 400 base ISO or you bump up to 1250, I think it was. You're just getting some incredible performance at low light, where traditionally Blackmagic, they do not perform well at low light, and it's still not going to see in the dark like the Sony's or anything like that, or
Sony,
a full frame camera.
A7S still has that on lock.
100%. Yeah. But with a bigger sensor and with that good ISO performance and the ability to shoot in RAW, suddenly you're actually pretty close, and you're shooting in RAW and you're shooting in 6K. You know, that's just insane.
Yeah, you know, like what immediately struck me using this camera, as soon as I got it and flicked it on, wasn't even the sensor size, the capabilities, or what it could shoot at. It was the bloody screen. This big, beautiful touch screen that had all the information there, that was set for video producers. The screen looked great. It was an accurate readout of what the camera was seeing. It was just like, it made me feel like, oh yeah, I don't even need a monitor to be on this camera.
Yeah.
You know, obviously some situations you might want to shoot from a low angle or high angle, which monitors are great at. But I was just blown away by the screen. I think that alone, if I was to muck around with that, would just sell me right away.
It is crazy, the difference of seeing a 3-inch screen on the back of a mirrorless camera. So having a screen is great. I found, like, because it's not always the easiest to view outside, or the angle's not great if you're kind of going up or low. So yeah, I kind of pair it with an Atomos Shinobi monitor. I think that was 550. So I think that's a really interesting point, though, because I've spent a good few months now, and I have certain sets of rigging depending on how big, small, the type of filming I'm doing, based on what in just a few weeks really with this camera. What are you foreseeing that you're going to need to do to get it to a standard that you want, or have you already got the gear and setup you want for what you need?
Yeah, so I see the purpose of, if you're getting a Blackmagic or getting one of these 4Ks or 6K cameras, you're going to be shooting likely a little bit more high-end stuff or wanting to do bigger things with it. So essentially what I'm trying to do is turn it into an Ursa, or like a mini Red type camera. So something that I can chuck a big battery on it that'll shoot for about 4 hours at least. Put it on a shoulder mount so I could take it off and run and gun shoot. Put a screen on it. Because these cameras, they don't have in-body stabilization like Sony does. That's a little bit frustrating. So you need to stabilize it with a rig. Yeah. And just make it a big camera. So even when you're on professional shoots, people won't think you're shooting with the DSLR, which I was unboxing this in my office, and people were like, oh yeah, you get a new DSLR. Like, no, mate, no. How dare you? Man. How dare you? This is a video beast only.
So it don't even take still. Well, I think it does.
Know your cameras. Yeah. But
I have false colors, bitch.
Yeah, so I was ready to buy an Ursa or a Panasonic EVA 1 or like a big camera. You know, I was ready, but why not drop $3,000 plus a couple extra grand, making it into one of those cameras?
I think that's what it is funny. I've seen a lot of comments online, like people go like, it's supposed to be a small camera. Those people who rig it up are like idiots. Or like, I think, like, why not then just go and buy an Pro?
Why would you want to get the best out of your camera? Oh, you're an idiot.
But I think what's really great about this kind of system is that the rigs you get to go shoulder mount or to go handheld or to add battery life, like, I love this level of filmmaking and video production now, because all of these elements are going to go onto the next camera and the next camera and the next camera if they're good enough. Yeah. And that's awesome.
So this is what I believe. So this level of cameras, this day and age of camera is all about customization and picking the different bits and pieces that you want.
Yeah.
You can pick the external recorder you want. You can pick what external media you want, what battery you want. rig a light to it, rig a mic to it,
Yeah.
what handles you have on it versus, oh, here's just a big camera, let's run a gun, chuck it on your shoulder right away and chuck a battery in it.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Which is great, but we've reached this modular evolution of cameras where you can do what you want.
Yeah,
which I love.
sure.
It's great.
Yeah. So you've experimented a little bit. You've got a sense on, the kind of format it's going to give you. Are you nervous to use it on a shoot? When are you going to use it on a paid client shoot?
I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous. In fact, I'm going to spend the rest of the day mucking around with it.
So you've got a shoot coming up soon with it?
I do have a shoot coming up soon with it.
Yeah.
It's an event shoot. So
an event, okay.
At night.
Okay. So you're just going
That's
putting it
why
through
I'm
its
nervous.
paces, yeah.
But I'm also going to take the Sonys with it if it decides to crap itself.
Absolutely, yeah.
I've got the backup.
Yeah.
But I'm confident enough pottering around with it for a few hours around my house and around my office, taking some video of people and color grading, editing it. I'm confident in what it can do.
Yeah.
So it's a very simple shoot, honestly. Just your straight up monopod, pans, focus pulls, no audio or anything, just a single camera shoot.
Okay, yeah, nice.
So I think it's perfectly fine to use this on that shoot.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with it. The camera, it functions perfectly right out of the box. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But but no, yeah. So there are a lot of nerves coming with a new camera because you're still figuring it out. You don't want to ruin your result on a client shoot.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm a little bit nervous. So I'm just going to spend the rest of the day figuring it out because I haven't had time to do that this week.
Yeah.
But I really want to use it. I'm really, it's that sort of like excited nerves.
Yeah, yeah.
You're like, if you're on a new date,
yeah.
If you're on a date with someone new and you're like, oh, yeah, this is going to be really fun, but
yeah,
a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
I know it's going to be great, but
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I'm feeling now.
Would you ever consider keeping the two camera systems? I know like you said like eventually you want to move to like potentially solo Blackmagic stuff, but like events, for example, they're definitely more geared to cover events than mirrorless cameras.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they're kind of not as well.
I feel that.
So, yeah. What are you just thinking? You want to use it on this event just to get it on a client job, so you can put it through its paces and say tick that off the list, or is there a reason you'd want to?
This is a client job that I feel would actually suit. Like I have a lot of time. It's just going to be on a monopod or a tripod type of thing. So nothing super technical, honestly. But yeah, obviously I wouldn't recommend testing out a brand new camera on a client gig right away. But I'm really confident in this camera.
Yeah, nice.
Picture looks great. I think, I think it's a good time.
So
good time to try it.
Are you going to be recording in RAW, or are you going to be recording in RAW-res?
It's going to be 1080p.
1080p.
1080p ProRes, 50 frames.
Okay.
Keep it simple. Nothing too crazy. All right.
Yeah. What's awesome? I don't know about 6K RAW. So this is the only thing that I was turned off a little bit by the camera. So Pocket Cinema 4K, you can record 4K RAW, 4K ProRes, 1080 or 2.7K, I think, or 1080p RAW ProRes. Generally speaking, depends on your flavor of RAW, but generally speaking, the RAW codec is going to be a better compression than your ProRes. So filming in Blackmagic Constant Q5, those people who use Blackmagic, you'll probably know what that means. Those who don't,
idea.
You don't even need to worry. It's just a quality format, basically, quality setting of your codec. It will take up less space than recording ProRes HQ
really?
Or ProRes
Blackmagic
422.
RAW.
Yeah.
So I did see that the only way to get 120 frames was to flick into Blackmagic RAW.
Yeah. So there are some like caveats, like you can only record 6K RAW. You can't record 6K ProRes. Now, me personally, I'd be like 6K ProRes, knowing how good compression is on RAW and that you get that extra flexibility of ISO as metadata. Like, I know that would stop a lot of people like buying into it, and that was initially I was like, it's not great that you have to go for 6K, 2.7K, 4K RAW, and then these others you have to go ProRes. You can't really like mix and match as easily, I feel, but for 6K for RAW, I just think is phenomenal. I don't think though you can do 4K RAW. I think it has to be ProRes.
Yes, I think that's it.
Fact check me on that if I'm wrong, but I just seem to remember that as a bit of a sticking
It does
point.
have a lot of sort of annoying restrictions and weird things that you just sort of look at, like, why is that restricted to RAW? Why is that restricted to ProRes?
Yeah.
Which is pretty frustrating as like a new purchase, finding that out. But I feel if I am on a shoot that I'd need to shoot RAW, that's like an advert or something, I think I'd probably want to shoot 6K, and I'd want to shoot Blackmagic RAW to get
for sure.
the most out of it.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be shooting 6K just on a general event shoot. I think that's a little bit unnecessary.
Yeah, sure.
Even 4K is a little bit unnecessary on event shoots, but the most I'd ever want is 4K at this stage.
Yeah.
So I'm not too bothered with those limitations.
Yeah, that's fair enough. It's just something that I think some people need to be aware of, and because you'd think you could do all resolutions you want at either Blackmagic
they almost
RAW,
seem
ProRes.
arbitrary.
Yeah,
the resolutions.
exactly. But you're spot on. Like it just, I mean, it's depending what you're filming anyway as to what you'd film in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm finding like Blackmagic RAW, even things I'm starting to freelance on where the editor would want ProRes and stuff. I'm trying to push everyone I shoot for to accept Blackmagic RAW because it's such a good codec and it's so much less memory than ProRes HQ. I love it. So I shot a TVC for a car wash and they were like, yeah, we want it ProRes HQ 4K. I was like, no, just go like, would you like some extra like flexibility in like white balance control and things like that, and or like 12-bit RAW? And they were like, yeah, but it'd be so big. And I was like, no, my friends. And so it was great. Yeah, I was really surprised like that was not as hefty on the hard drive.
So what does Blackmagic RAW require in your system to work?
I have no idea. I have a 5-year-old PC.
Very nice.
I have an old PC.
And it runs fine?
And I can
Proxies
get 25 frames playback smooth
Really?
in DaVinci Resolve. It's an incredible codec. Have you played with RAW yet in DaVinci?
No.
Mate, that's what we're doing next.
It's on the system.
That's what we're doing next.
Yeah.
It is, I think, one of the best selling points of these cameras is that you get to unlock the studio version of DaVinci Resolve.
Yeah, it comes with a free $400 license.
Yeah, which again like reduces the cost of these cameras again, right? But when you combine those two things, I think Blackmagic has just unlocked this magic source of a codec in a file format. Once you start playing around in Blackmagic RAW and you start grading things in RAW, it is hard. It is hard to then go onto, say, or like you do chuckle and go, I'm just filming 8-bit XAVC this day.
Like we're doing now.
Idiots. Which will look fine, which is the ironic thing. But so I wanted to ask, like, getting a camera like this, for me personally, it's been an attempt to evolve the kind of image maker I am, right? It's that's gone hand in hand with the fact that I've spent like the last year trying to understand cinematography better and even trying to implement but trying to become a director of photography, for want of a better phrase, rather than just a videographer, So what do you think, or are you interested in the post side of things? Like, how much time are you going to put into learning better color grading and better color control? Because you do have more control on a RAW codec if you wanted it. Do you think that's relevant for you right now?
I think it's pretty relevant. I know for a few months at least, I've sort of been feeling just like a little bit sort of uninspired sometimes with shooting.
Yeah.
And I think that's just because like the gear's seeming a little bit stale, and
Yeah.
you know, everything's just looking a little bit the same. And I feel I've this past week I've sort of been like reinvigorated with this camera a little bit.
Great. Yeah.
Because, you know, seeing the dynamic range and the highlight pullback and things I could do, even just in Premiere, not even in Resolve,
Yeah.
that I couldn't do with my previous system, is exciting. I mean, I got asked to shoot a short film the other day, and like I sort of had this extra bit of energy towards it. I'm like, yeah, I could use the new camera. We could do these things with it now that I couldn't really do with Sony. It can achieve this level of slow-mo.
Yeah.
Can use this type of lighting, sort of backlighting, and pull it back and do all these things with it
Yeah.
that before I was just blocked with the physical capabilities. So like there's no roadblock to creativity.
Right.
So if I can reduce that friction of the speed of thought, I guess, and do the things I want to do, yeah, why not upgrade your gear and do something that can achieve all of that? And I think it's always, I personally, I just need to keep moving forward just in life in general.
Yeah.
And this is like a pretty big step. You know, changing over camera systems is nothing to, you know, think little of, because you know it's a big step. But having that EF mount with these systems is such a breath of fresh air that I don't have to muck around with anything else. So it's having a new system is sort of a big enough jump than trying to adapt a bunch of other lenses. So it's exciting.
Are you trying to push forward in trying to create? I mean, you mentioned like short films there. Are you interested in using this as an excuse to move on to more creative work as well? Because I am. Like I got that 4K, and just last week I was like, you know, last few weeks it's just been all talking heads and stuff like that. I wrote a couple of spec scripts that I'm so excited to film, because I'm like, I know if I put that camera in front of some talent and light it a certain way, it's just going to look brilliant.
Yeah, it is definitely an excuse
to
do more creative things, but I needed an impetus or like a driver to push me that extra 20% of the way over to do it. Because I could easily make some amazing things on the A7S Mark II.
Yeah.
But
it's a good point.
It just feels too stale over the past 4 years. It doesn't feel special.
Yeah.
And then I feel if I'm going to shoot something with it, I'm not going to feel that project is special.
Yeah.
And I've sort of lost that feeling that things I make are special. So, yeah, I'm hoping that's what this camera is going to do. It's a bit optimistic, and I know it's mostly the operator rather than the camera. I know all of that.
Well, I was actually going to...
But it can do a lot.
Do you not think that maybe that feeling comes from the work you do as well?
Yes.
Because... And now we're probably going to switch gears just for like the last few minutes. But I've been feeling that way for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I started freelancing is because I wasn't getting like super creative work, client work. I was getting enough client work like on my own as a video production company, but it was all the same, right? And I wanted to put time into doing some spec stuff and like showing I could do something different. And then this shiny new thing came along of the idea of freelancing, which before had never really interested me or occurred to me, because I knew it was a struggle freelancing. I knew it was a real struggle to get enough work coming in. So that it wasn't a new camera, but it was certainly a new thing that I was doing exactly the same types of shoots, but I was like, oh, this is great. I'm freelancing. This is awesome. But now that shine has worn off, you know? And I feel the same. I feel like a little bit stale. And so sometimes now I've brought that Pocket 4K along to a gig and shot something and been like, okay, that looks good. It looks good, but it's still the same thing. You know, it's still the same type of thing. So I hope that, I mean, seeing how excited you are with the 6K, it kind of has reinvigorated me a little bit to
Very nice.
just start shooting some other things and just keep pushing
and
forward.
I guess that's a reason why I'm jumping so quick to use it on this next shoot so soon.
Yeah.
Is I'm just so eager to shoot something with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So would you say that like when you got this camera, did you feel special? Was it an extra bit of magic when you saw those first few images out of the first gig you've shot with it?
It's a strange thing because, like you said, like you can shoot something that's really good on a mirrorless camera and it looks really good. Like in the right lighting conditions, any camera can generally look pretty good if you've got some decent lenses on it. So it's funny, like I think if I put what I shot on the web, most people will go like, okay, good image. And then I said, I'll shoot on the A7S or whatever. Okay, great, good image. But there's just something, I don't know whether it's just we know that it's a 10-bit or a 12-bit image. It's got X amount of dynamic range. It has this beautiful highlight roll-off, unlike mirrorless cameras, I find. It's got a really good color science. I just love the skin tones that get produced by Blackmagic. I don't know if it was knowing that I become a bit biased looking at that image then. But I do remember the first times I borrowed one from a mate before I bought one.
Smart.
And I had no time because I was so busy with work. All I had was this camera was sitting in this room, and my family, we were just chilling together, and the sun was setting outside, and I just started shooting some stuff and like doing some silhouette stuff and stuff like that. And I put that on a big monitor, and it was just with a normal LUT. And I just thought, shit, this looks good. You know, not just okay, not just fine, not just the same image I've seen over the last few years. I agree with you, man. I was like, there is something magic about this image, and I can't quite define it. Again, maybe that is from that bias or the knowledge of the kind of image that it produces. But it is a pleasure to shoot with. It's still after, I don't know, 9-10 months now with the camera. It is lovely to be able to pull. I eagerly, like even yesterday, I was away shooting just this intro of a little classical music documentary I'm doing, and I was like, there was nothing special here. It was an environment that I had no lighting control over, apart from when I went into some close up of this person rehearsing. I was like, let's create something here. Let's just shape the light a little bit. It wasn't special. It was just me. It was just me. And yet this camera could pull just an incredible image. Yeah. And I posted a few frames on my Instagram, and I kind of made a joke that I was ripping off Mindhunter in one frame, because I was like, you couldn't get that in a mirrorless camera.
Especially that one shot with the backlighting, the curtain behind the girl.
It's a strong backlight, but it's not overblown. It's just white. Yeah. You know, it's just this.
So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This camera's going to let me shoot weird shit and have it still look good. Buy a Blackmagic.
Yeah. It is great. And I'm excited to hear how you find shooting with it, both on the client side and just playing around with it. Because they're getting so good. And the reason if you're watching the video, I've checked my phone a couple of times because I was trying to find, I got a message today that B&H Photo Video in America had knocked money off the 4K, the 6K, and the Ursa Mini Pro G2, I think by $1,000 off of that. I can't find it anymore, so I don't know if that was a mistake or if they're doing that for a while. But I think what's great about these cameras is that it is a much lower investment to step into what I would call the cinema world. Like a lot of people would look at that and go, that's not a cinema camera. But it doesn't matter about the look of the body. It's totally, you think of that like a brain, and you can create some amazing imagery. And the bonus is, like, you will love like the ability to plug an XLR mic into this camera. And again, it's like I'm rarely having to dual sync sound anymore. Like now I can leave the Zoom recorder at home, and
it just takes out that one step.
Yeah,
it's the little things you don't consider.
Does definitely make you feel a bit more pro doing it. And once you get a little bit of a rig and a cage, people like a few clients now, I'm thinking about it, have remarked on, oh, that's a cool like cinema camera. I was shooting something on Monday, and there was a current affair doing a story on the same thing.
Yeah.
And I met the cameraman there, and we were just talking a little bit, and he said, "Oh, great rig you got there." I was like, "Oh, really? This is." He's holding his massive
a camera that's probably 15 years old.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
shooting on P2, but like it was great. Like it kind of. I know it's not that important, but getting validation that the investment you're putting into gear,
that big
into
camera
something
energy
is noticeable. Right, definitely.
Big camera energy. That's I think that's the title of this episode.
Big camera energy. Love it.
Well, shall we leave it there?
Yeah, I have no idea if that was any useful to anyone. But yeah, if you're thinking about whether moving on to, I mean, the Blackmagic Pocket cinema cameras in particular, hopefully they gave you a little bit of insight of our experience using it and the difference between the 4K and 6K.
Yeah.
Well, who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
Well, let's hope. Hopefully, you got a little bit of value out of that.
Yeah.
On this episode of In Focus Out of Touch.
If you did, please head on over. If you've listened on audio, head on over to your podcast app. Please give us a rating and review. If you've watched this on video, just subscribe to the channel. There's a lot more awesome stuff coming, not just us idiots rambling on.
Yeah, we've got some tasty morsels coming for you.
We have.
By that, I mean guests coming on the show.
You're all tasty morsels to our guests out there.
That's
upcoming guests out there.
But,
mate, great to chat. I'm excited to see what you shoot. Maybe we could pull that apart next week.
Yeah, and I think I'm pretty keen to do a YouTube video through your shootout between the two cameras.
I think it's worth it. Mate, I think it's definitely worth it.
Collab.
Get onto that. Collab.
Well, you can find me on Instagram at SRS Video and Nick at I Am a Film Dude. If you want to send us some messages, or if you're a video producer and you're thinking, damn, I can speak better than these two idiots, why don't email us at infocusoutoftouch@gmail.com. Is that our email?
Correct. We now have a podcast email.
So infocusoutoftouch@gmail.com. Email us, chat to us. We'd be keen to hear from you.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Bye-bye.
See ya.